Hey, what's up everybody? This is Francisco's YouTube channel, and this is the first of our interviews, or at least I'm going to ask Francisco a few questions about his series that he's going to be displaying for a private audience in his Santiago home on April 2nd, 2009. All these pieces were made in Beijing when Francisco visited there recently in the fall of 2008. And so, yeah, Francisco, maybe you could introduce this piece a little bit to anybody who's watching.
Okay, hi everybody, my name is Francisco Bustamante, and as Davis has said, I did this painting. This is not actually a painting, it's a drawing in charcoal, and I basically wanted to feel in one way or another influence or let Beijing and China influence my work. Sorry, the pantalla is gone black.
Oh, that's okay, it's still recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, this is one of the pieces, one of the first pieces I did over there, and somehow wanting to add into my work some kind of this Chinese atmosphere, and I felt that in one way or another, that is what is here present. The result of the sort of exercise of seeing, working over there, letting myself be involved with the Chinese, although it was a very brief time. It was only a month and a half. But yeah, it's a starting point.
Yeah, well, that's great that you said that, because we're going to do, Francisco's got 5 or 6 sort of series or pieces, because some of them are smaller, and we're going to do these in chronological order. So you said this is a starting point. What was it? Why was this where you started? Can you tell us a little bit about sort of when this was in Beijing? Was this done when you just got there? And
yeah, well, when I just got there, I decided to focus in drawing rather than painting, since I was not staying for that long. Basically, what I'm interested with the actual group of drawings that you'll see throughout the different videos is somehow doing different pieces where I could show certain opposites. Opposites meaning light and darkness, for example, some kind of certain stiff areas, or hard, or rather like geometrical, in contrast with other bits that are more like more regarding to like atmosphere, to Libyan that, which would be something light, not very heavy. And in one way or another, I am showing that in this piece, where you can see this sort of, I don't know, block of black paint and charcoal. Yeah, and like in opposition to the very lightness of the higher area, where you can see the flowing sort of brush strokes that go around and play with one and another, and just gives that like feeling, I guess.
All right, Francisco. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going to end this section of the video and restart, because my computer doesn't have that much memory, and then we'll get to section 2. We'll talk more. All right. So I'm gonna just make sure. Right, cool. So when we left off, you were talking about the balance between heavy and the sort of light stuff up there. So what I'm wondering is, I mean, why was this first in Beijing, and what about this piece was sort of the beginning of Beijing? It's really big too. I mean, was Beijing's bigness and the hugeness of 30 million people in this kind of city, did you go like, God, I want to do something really big?
Yes, well, maybe that might have helped in order for the actual size of this piece, but most of all, I've always, throughout my years of painting and drawing, I felt more attracted to rather big pieces than small ones. Still, I do small ones and I love doing them, but I feel more comfortable with rather larger sizes. And somehow it gives you, or it gives me, a certain freedom of action, whereas in a tiny piece of paper I would be somehow feel eventually sometimes stuck.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a good exercise not to like depend only on a particular size. You have to somehow try to not engage, but exercise in different formats in order not to like lose your control in terms of creativeness and in terms of formal work. It's good to do a big and small and medium pieces.
Right. Well, so I guess my question is, why was this first?
Yeah.
I mean, or did it just come out?
Yeah, I was a bit like I don't know, just this was not like, it was actually the first piece, but I sort of do a bit of little things in other pieces of papers, and they were like really small, and I was like slightly frustrated. So finally I said, okay, I'm gonna stick one paper next to another, because at the end, because as you can see, these are pieces of paper attached one to another, and they form at the end a big piece.
So you said you were frustrated when you started this one?
No, I was frustrated when I was doing the previews to this one, sort of little exercises, but I was like, okay, they were like too little, the actual sizes. So that's when I took tape and then just putting one paper next to the other. So there are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 pieces of paper put together. And
did it start like that, Francisco?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you taped them together.
That was the first stage.
Okay, so it was always going to be this big.
Taping all of them together, and then just starting to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And in order to do the actual work, I needed some kind of base, somewhere where I could like feel, you know, a starting point. And basically my starting point is this black, strong, sort of, yeah.
I've got a question for you. I mean, Beijing, I've lived in Beijing. Francisco was there for a month. I was there for about 1.5 years. And I can feel Beijing maybe. My question for you is, did you have like a, did you feel away? Did you need this base? Because you see, I don't know if the camera can see, but in the lower part here, there's also more drawings, which also share the black base, which is kind of the theme, a little bit of. So did you feel like you were not grounded in Beijing? I mean, is this in some way like sort of bringing you a starting point that you know?
Definitely.
Okay.
No, it definitely helped me as a starting point. And then after I did this piece, I realized that I could grab this sort of black mark, and somehow I wanted to repeat it in all the rest of the pieces. In order to like to have some kind of body of work around one particular thing, which is this, I don't know how to call it really, it's just this base, dark base.
I mean, not to get a little bit like philosophical too much, but I mean, I guess what I'm wondering is the act of making the art, did that in some way ground you, even though you were in a place that's so far, like Beijing?
Yes, absolutely. I needed to do that in order to like somehow. I can be very like, I can easily not work and leave it aside, and but whenever I'm at the studio actually working, funnily enough, in order to do the actual work, I needed to have a base, to have something to
so
hang
in some
on
way,
to.
this is like your will, your pure willpower.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's really.
Yes,
That's
that's interesting. And then from then it became by. I mean, once I was doing this, the rest was I would just follow what I would thought would be appropriate, but I wouldn't like really think much about it. I would just like start.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're gonna run out of time, so I'm gonna shut down this video, and we are gonna do 5 or 6 of these leading up to Francisco's show on April 2nd. So it's your channel. You wanna say goodbye?
Goodbye, and I hope you enjoy the pieces, and eventually that you can have one.
Yeah. All right.